Hello and welcome to another episode of the Trash Talk Podcast. Emails JJ Midday of Hollywood 6 from the Trash Talkers. How you doing?
I am good, JJ. Again, an honor and a pleasure for you to have me on here. I never miss these. I enjoy sitting down having these conversations. What the hell are you laughing at?
You said an honor and a pleasure for you to have me on here, which I thought was good.
For you to have me on here. Did I say something incorrect?
No, it's fine. It works.
Oh, but yes, it's good to be back. Love having the conversation. Love what we do here, man. Shout out to all the trash talkers out there. This should be a fun one today, JJ.
Yes, and today we're gonna figure out how to improve the school system.
Yes.
Now, obviously, brief disclaimer: Hollywood is American. I'm German. And even within both countries, there is some variation. So we'll see how generally applicable these things are. But I would suppose that most of the stuff that could be seen as problematic is actually fairly consistent.
Yes. Would you like for me to start on one thing that I've always thought as being an adult that needs to be changed into the school system in America? Would you like for me to start there?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Financial literacy.
Oh, that's a good one.
Now, in school, you're taught arithmetics. You're taught, how to read, how to spell, how to, history, science. You have all these things that are taught to you. Let's be honest. Let's be realistic here. A lot of those things, yes, common knowledge things. You do want to know who's the, first president or who's the president that freed the slaves. You want to know stuff like that. You want to know simple biology. You want to know simple science. Of course, your math well enough to where you're not getting effed out of your money. But speaking on the money aspect thing is like, you can teach someone 2 + 2 is 4 all day long. You can teach them geometry, trigonometry, calculus, hell, wherever you want to teach them. But at the end of the day, it's like, I've never had to use the Pythagorean theory in my entire life, in my adult life. I would probably say you've never had to either, and to the majority of the people watching this. But when it comes to with those numbers in particular, it's like financial literacy, how to open a banking account, how to fill out a check, how to get a credit card. Why should you get a credit card? How to save money, how to open a check-ins account, how to open a savings account, how to invest your money, how to make $5 turn into $25. That's one of the biggest things that I think in school, and I would argue in Germany as well, because I don't think they do that over in Germany as well. But I think in the school system period, one thing that can be improved, and I don't want to say I'm more qualified to speak on this, but my mom being a part of the school system my entire life, she was my English teacher, then she was my biology teacher, then she worked in the office at my school, then she was the assistant principal, then she was the principal, and then she was on the school board. So she being around a mother who's in my class, I can't raise my hand and say, "Mama," I would get slapped in the face if I said "Mama" in class. I have to say "Mrs. Bynes." So when I would speak to her, she's been in the school system, for the majority of her entire adult life. So talking to her, she actually agrees with me. She's like, if I had the control to put it in my curriculum, I don't even know would you make that a math class, or would it be a totally different subject? But she has always told me if she could put it in her curriculum, she would teach some sort of financial literacy.
I think that's both true, and I guess in the question of like which subject is it? If it's literally just the financial stuff, you could probably figure out like a math or a social sciences kind of thing where it falls under. But I think you could have a broader sort of like a life skills class if you will, because I think there's more than just the finance stuff, but there definitely is a big aspect of it. The funny thing is, in math class, I believe it was, we learned about compound interest. Why? Mm-hmm. Because you can actually make math questions out of it. And that's about all of the like finance stuff that we learned in school, because it's like, yeah, that is like how you write a math question. Great. That's like actually like mathematically interesting, but not necessarily the most useful thing. I mean, yes, obviously, saving money good, being in debt bad. Like, I guess how that makes sense, how that could become a problem if you are in debt and the compounding interest makes it even worse. But that's not really it wasn't the point of the lesson. And I think there is something to be said about those things. One thing that we did learn that is sort of adjacent to that I think could also fit in that kind of a class is we learned how to write an application for a job.
Yes,
like a
good point.
like a
good
CV
point.
and a job application. But funnily enough, I don't recall if we ever wrote one in German class. I do know that we did one in English class and one in French class, which is funny
Right.
because, I mean, obviously, a lot of it is similar, but there are like some different norms in different countries. And so they were like, oh yeah, like this is maybe a little bit different from what we would do in Germany, but like it was more as a language lesson again. And I guess that's part of it, right? Because even if we did learn it, which is good,
Hmm.
it almost seemed like there needed to be a reason to teach it to us, like that ties into like the core subjects rather than like it being a worthwhile lesson in its own right. And
Well, when you say a reason for it to be taught to you, I think the reason is the lifelong reason. Like you're gonna one day have to figure out or fill out an application. You're
Yeah.
gonna one day have to open a bank account, right?
no, but that's what I'm saying, right? It felt like whenever they taught something useful like that, it felt like they needed to have an additional reason for teaching it rather than just seeing it as a valuable thing to teach in its own right, which I think is a problem that is in the school system, right? Where it almost feels like they have like a certain list of subjects and they're like, okay, this is worthwhile to teach and everything else is incidental. Whereas, right, like the life skills thing where like, finance is definitely a big one, personal finance. Again, right, like job applications could fall under that. I don't, admittedly,
Banking.
right, from time to time. Yeah, I mean, there are in certain types of schools in Germany, there are like classes that are more about like I was gonna say physical life skills, right? Like more like simple carpentry, baking, like that sort of stuff. Like
Yeah.
there are classes to teach it. So in Germany, the one thing that is a bit weird about the school system compared to other countries is that after elementary school, it splits into 3 different paths, and so there's a more academic path, there's sort of a medium path, and a more like a trades oriented path. That's not usually how it's framed in Germany, but that is effectively what they're meant to do. And so if you go more like the trades route, then like the more practical life skills, like I guess like the again like the physical things, right? Like when
Yeah.
you work with your hands,
Yeah.
like that sort of stuff you are taught there to a degree, and I think I don't know if they still do, but they definitely used to have like baking classes. I think they call them like kitchen classes because they're like baking, cooking, whatever.
So see, that's what I was gonna ask you. Here we call that home ec. Do y'all have home ec? Like home, I guess. Well, what does home ec even stand for? Home economy? Home economics. That's right.
So
Do y'all have?
I know that my parents talked about having that in their school, but they had more like the trades-oriented path. In the school that I went to, which is more academically oriented, we did not have something like that. The only thing that really wasn't academic about our school was the fact that we still had PE. But it's not even that it was particularly relevant, it's just that we had it as one of our classes that we had to take. But I do think there are a lot of important life skills that aren't generally taught in school, and I do think that again, right, like the personal finance is probably the biggest and sort of most relevant part, but I do think there are other aspects that also could be brought into that, and then it could be a class in its own right. You could run it through a couple of years, even depending on like what exactly you teach, and like start with things that are more comprehensible to like younger students, and work up to like the more complicated stuff that ends up being more important, like once you get closer to graduation.
Yeah, it's crazy because being in America, like, hell, I don't even know if they still have home ec, but these are the classes where they would teach you, how to cook, how to sew, how to wash dishes, how to do things around your home that you would typically do. Well, how do you get the home? No one seems to ask that question. Like, how do you get the home? Well, you have to go have good credit. You have to get a loan. Like, so you're teaching me how to do all these things inside the home, but you're not teaching me how to get the home. And not only that, but here, deviating from this for a second, I don't know if they're doing this over in Germany, but in the United States, they're taking away cursive writing. Like they're not teaching children how to write in cursive. Why? Really? Why do you say it's fair?
So I was from personal experience, right? I was always kind of terrible at writing cursive, and so we had to learn cursive for the first 2 years in school. And after that, we were allowed to write in block letters as well. And ever since then, I've only been writing in block letters. It's literally faster for me, which is counterintuitive because the whole point of cursive is to write faster. But because my cursive is so illegible if I just write it quickly, then I basically have to slow down to write it clearly enough that I'm actually faster writing block letters because there's a bit more leeway in like how much you can like fuck them up before they become illegible. So I think you can actually like you have to learn some form of handwriting, obviously, but I don't think you don't write that much these days by hand, right? Most everything is typed, and so like for taking personal notes, I think like block letters are perfectly fine.
Well, see, that's just you though. That's how you learn. So, there are some people out here with some calligraphy that's just like great. You know, like dude, I swear to God, I seen a letter from we got a letter in the mail and it was all in cursive, and I thought it was like, you know, like it was typed and it was typed in cursive. This was actually physically like wrote in cursive on a postcard, and I'm like, dude, this is brilliant. This or not brilliant may not be the word, but this is great to see that. And this person might have been in their 40s or 50s or 60s, whatever, but when they actually taught it, and it looked. The reason for it was, like you said, it was meant to write faster, and it was meant for, you know, government documents. And when I say government, like if you look at the Declaration of Independence, it's written in cursive. So if you don't teach the children in America, speaking from an American's point of view, if you don't teach American children how to read or write cursive, that takes away the ability for them to know of course, you could print it up on Google and say, oh, this is what the Declaration of Independence says, which is not in cursive. But if there was no internet, if there was nothing, and you actually physically saw it, that person would look like a foreign language to them. And not only that, going to the house, you know, buying a car type thing. Like literally when you go and purchase these things, all legal documents, it says print, date, and sign. So if you can't sign your name, like, and sign is, yes, I know you can just do a squiggly line and say, hey, that's my signature. But you want to, your signature is there because that's your personal signature, basically. I'm looking for lack of a better word, but it's like, hey, I know I signed. Yes, exactly. I signed this document, and hell, you can even for court cases, like murder cases or stuff like that, or fraud cases, they'll pull up and they'll say, hey, well, this signature, they didn't go high up with the I like this person did. So for them to not teach that, I mean, I think it's something vital that they should still teach, just like I do, like. PE, definitely important. You need to exercise, especially nowadays with these kids. Everybody's on a computer, on a laptop. I asked one of my friends the other day, when's the last time you seen a kid in a tree? I haven't seen a kid in a tree in a while, and I used to be in trees all the time. But you see them in front of these laptops and these computers, and it's like, so PE, definitely keep it. Math, definitely keep it. Social studies, okay, cool, keep it. Science, keep it. History, I get it. I get knowing where you come from, how this country was built, learning about the pyramids, but we need to find some way to put in how to write a check, financial literacy, man. So that's the biggest thing for me. It's like prime example here. So I recently just bought my house. And which I had to sign a lot. When you buy your house, I mean, literally, it gets to the point where you're just signing. You don't even know what you're signing. They just say, sign this. You just sign it. And it's literally hundreds and maybe, I won't say hundreds. Yeah, probably hundreds of pages. But if you're not taught how to do that, and you're like, okay, I know how to write my name in block letters, but when I go to sign them, like, it just doesn't make sense. And also, I was going back to the financial literacy thing. My parents always told me never get a credit card. Never get a credit card. They told me do not ever get a credit card, because if you don't have the money to get it, then you shouldn't have a credit card. Now that, you know, I'm an adult, you know, I'm a homeowner. I have my own truck. Now they're like, okay. And every one of all these adults around me are like, hey, get a credit card. Well, I was taught to never get a credit card. I was never taught what interest is. I was never taught what debt is in school. And my parents didn't teach it to me. They just said, never do it. But now that, okay, you are capable enough to handle your finances, okay, get a credit card. Now, if I was taught these things in school, I wouldn't have to sit down in front of a banker and say, oh, what does 10% interest mean? What does this mean? What does that mean? When these are things that could be instilled into children's mind when they're younger, so when they grow up to be successful people, which you could argue would make them more successful, they're already equipped enough to handle it because they were taught it at a young age.
Okay, so you still a lot there. Let me try to take this one at a time. So cursive, right? I think reading cursive is probably a relevant skill to some degree. I think writing cursive isn't necessarily as relevant, but I can see why, like, if you can read it, you might as well be able to write it.
Absolutely.
So, fair enough. I think I might have been a bit too harsh on that, because I definitely have used my skill of reading cursive much more than I have writing cursive, and again, right, like, reading and writing tends to go hand in hand. I can see that. Okay, just random point, but I find it interesting how often you bring up checks, because they become less and less relevant in the world, right? Like,
that is not
people
true.
Don't really
That's not true
much anymore.
Dude, that is not true. I swear to God, I thought the same thing. But when I bought my house, your first 12, usually your first 3 to 6 to 8, 3, 6, 9, 12 months of payment have to be sent in by a check. And you would think it would be good. Sorry.
Okay, that might be an American thing, but I feel like you just do it by wire transfer. But anyways, right, so what was it? Right, there was one more thing. Oh, right. You said something about what was the last whole bit that you? Yeah, right. Right, credit cards.
Credit cards.
So that is actually, like, not getting a credit card is kind of terrible advice. You have to manage it well, but specifically in the US, having a credit card is good because it helps you build your credit score. Now, that whole system is kind of fucked up in all sorts of ways, but that's not really the point, right? Assuming this is method is given, having a credit card, using the credit card, and paying it off on time is really good. The problem is, it's harder to manage your money if you are working with a credit or even debit card. I prefer paying things in cash, because if there's no more money in my wallet, I know I'm out of money, right? Like, not that is, like, a huge issue, because I try to not spend money that I don't have to begin with, but it's much easier to manage your money if you have it right in front of you. In the US, having a credit card, very useful. General advice, though, especially for people outside of the US, like, don't go into debt unnecessarily. It's especially because of, again, interest, right? So it's generally always better. Like, obviously, if you're buying a house, especially, right? Like, my parents taught me, like, the one thing that you, like, go in debt for is buying a house. Everything else, you have the money to buy it or you don't, right? And this is probably still, like, not entirely nuanced enough. There are probably other cases where it would make sense, but generally speaking, buying things on credit, not a great idea from, like, a financial management standpoint. But again, because credit score is a thing in the US, it is like a bit more of a factor there.
Are there not credit scores in Germany?
There is no credit score in the way that it exists in the US. There are checks for liquidity and for like how well you've paid off past credit. So it is sort of like credit score, but it doesn't have, like, the, like, one abstracted number. It doesn't have, like, a dedicated service for finding it out. The banks will basically just, like, go through a financial history. Also, I think never having taken out a credit is not necessarily taken against you, I believe. So, like,
So it's basically off your payment history on things over there, right?
So it's basically, they look at what assets you have, right? So, like, the ability to pay back, and they look at if you've ever, like, not paid back loans in the past, right? So that is basically,
do they look at if you, like, right? So do they look at it like a collateral thing? Like, hey, if you don't pay this, then we're going to take that.
Well, collateral is definitely also a thing, but they do also, just as general, like, as an evaluation, like, again, similar in purpose to credit score, but it's much more limited in scope, where they don't, I don't think German banks care if you've never taken out a loan before. I don't think that's a negative thing for them. Because it's not necessarily seen as, like, being bad with money because you've never paid back a loan because you never had a loan, right? Like, if you don't pay back in time for a loan that you did take out, then you're obviously a heightened risk. But I don't, as far as I know, it's not taken against you to never have loaned money before. And so credit cards are almost non-existent in Germany, in my experience, or in Europe, I think, more broadly. Debit cards, very common, but credit cards not as common.
Right. So, and I guess both are probably equally common here, debit and credit cards. So, would you prefer a credit system over there to where, hey, I'm going to go buy a house, I know my credit is this number? Would you prefer the Americanized way of dealing with credit than the German way?
No. Now, I think a big part of that is because of how the credit score system works. I'm not sure if I'm against the idea of just having a number for it, but because of, again, the American system, like, rewards you for taking on loans or buying something on credit and then paying it off, which I think is a stupid system because, again, right, as a general financial advice matter, it's just better not to take out loans in the first place or not to buy things on credit. And so the actual credit score system basically goes against what, to my best understanding, is like common sense financial management, which is obviously not great.
Well, if you look at it on a scale, it's kind of the same thing. Like you said over there, they look at, past histories of things that you bought and collateral and stuff like that. We're basically doing the same thing. Like if you have a credit score of like 400, they know you're an at-risk person to, hey, we could sell this guy this house, but this person may not pay because of the credit score. But if you have a higher credit score, then they're going to be like, okay, we'll give it to you. Your credit looks good. Looks like you've paid everything off. Same thing in Germany. It's like, hey, okay, well, you haven't taken out a loan and not paid the loan back. So in a way, it kind of sounds like the same thing. Just one has a physical number where the other one does not.
I think the big difference, as I see it, and again, I'm not an expert on either side of this, but the German system seems a lot less complex to me. But there's a lot fewer factors that go into it. The American system, where it's actually good to take out money, as long as you pay it back, is kind of strange to me.
Why?
Well, if you don't have to take out money, why should you, right? And because in America, the answer is just improve the credit score.
So the person that would take out money that they don't need I would say, isn't financially stable. Because if you don't need the money, then why are you getting it?
Exactly. Right?
To me, that's a credit card. I was taught a credit card is used for emergencies or things that you absolutely like. If let's say God forbid something happens to my truck. And I don't have $2,000 right now to pay it off. Let's say I didn't have it right now to pay it off. Well, I could put my credit card, and I know the $2,000 is going to come, so I'll do it. But if you're going to get a credit card and just go spend it up, then I don't think that person's financially literate. I don't think they should have a credit card. You know what I mean?
Yes, but to my understanding, it is actually better for a credit score if you buy things on your credit card and then at the end of the month just pay it off, rather than just spending the money that you have on those same things, which in effect, like from a financial organization standpoint, is fairly similar, but it builds a habit of using the credit card, which, again, I think is bad. The other thing about credit score that is bad is that it's usually run by like a couple of different companies that like calculate your credit score. Exactly, mm-hmm. Right? And so, as far as I know, in Germany, the banks will just do their own research, and the credit score companies are not infallible, which is also like a big issue. There were court cases about it where it's like, oh yeah, they reported the wrong credit score to the bank and I couldn't take out a loan. And then turns out that I think the credit score company's not liable for it if it just was an accident or something, and it's kind of stupid. Also, just the fact that those companies can exist in the first place just feels strange to me, because like, what legitimate purposes they serve? I mean, I get that in some sense, like they do provide research, but it doesn't feel like they provide an essential service, and yet they're like really big companies. But I guess that is not unique to those, but yeah.
Going back to this is obviously because we were talking about some things that could be fixed at school. So for us to go down this rabbit hole, I don't know, what has it been, 10, 15 minutes we've been talking about
probably
credit. But that's my point. We're talking about something that you weren't taught in school. I wasn't taught in school. Now that you're somewhat aware of it, I'm somewhat aware of it. Now it's like, okay, we're going at this, and the time is just flying by. But it's like if we were taught these things as children, going from K through 12, I don't know how you guys do it over there, kindergarten to 12th grade. If you were taught that, I guarantee you, we wouldn't have to have that conversation for 15, 20 minutes. And it's a good conversation to have, but it's like, if we already had the information, we know it. We know not to do that. We know not to do this. We know not to do that. So the fact that we're having to sit here and have the conversation on one particular topic, financial literacy, being taught in school, that, again, I think you would agree with me that is a big thing that needs to be taught in school.
Yes, and I think the other thing that comes up when in these sort of discussions is usually that the idea is that schools will say, like, this is like certain skills they just assume are taught by the parents, and these skills in particular, it's kind of a dangerous assumption to make, right? Because obviously people that already are more financially knowledgeable, generally people that are more financially well off, will thereby instill better money skills into their kids, whereas poorer people that
Right.
didn't learn how to manage their money and probably didn't have as many
Right.
opportunities to learn how to manage their money, like, are not passing on those skills. And so there is always this assumption that certain things are taught by the parents, and to a degree, but obviously, right? I have never heard of a school where they teach children to go to the toilet, right? There is some limit of like, what you expect the parents to teach. But
yeah, but at the same time, in America, I don't know how it is in Germany. In America, when you could take a public school child whose parents might be middle class, and they don't teach them. And I know for a fact that private schools don't teach financial literacy. So even in private schools, you got to have money to send your kid to private schools. So those are the well-off parents. So you just said the well-off parents would probably teach their children, how to handle their money and handle their finances, but it doesn't seem that way.
Well, not through the school system, but just personally, right? I mean, obviously, there's this whole thing about like the association with like rich parents and being absent, but generally speaking, right? Like if you have generally speaking, you will teach your kids certain skills, and the assumption is that certain skills are taught by the parents rather than the schools. And if those skills are ones where there is a large disparity in the knowledge of the parents, then you'll have a large disparity of outcomes for the children. Which is one of the ways, actually, in which the school system, by making an assumption, kind of perpetuates inequality, right? Where if you are from... There's this whole thing where if you, like, sort the populace into different classes, and I mean, obviously, colloquially, we do it all the time, but if you, like, actually, like, there were scientific studies, and if you, like, categorize it, then usually the kids will only end up, like, one class removed from where the parents were, at most. Because it's basically impossible to go from rags to riches, isn't it? Now, obviously, occasionally it happens, but even most of the rags to riches stories are highly exaggerated. But that is obviously for a number of reasons. Obviously, inheriting money is also, like, a big thing, but also, like, financial skills, right? Like, you can't teach your kid how to be good with their money if you don't know how to be good with your money.
With your money, exactly. And you had brought up, the rags to riches thing. I heard the greatest quote, and apparently it's a quote that's very famous, but maybe I've heard in the past, but just now recognizing it. But they said there's only 3 ways to get rich. You're either born into it. Yes, there is the rags to riches story, but that's very slim, where you're going to work McDonald's or work at a Walmart and just save up this money and become very rich. That's very rare and very hard to do. But there's usually 3 ways to become rich. You're either born into it, you inherit it, or you're married into it. Or I think those are the 3, or I might be off by 1.
Yeah, but the first 2 sound very similar.
But what, going off of the, I think we've said enough on the financial literacy thing, but something else that I think should be taught in school, dude, like trades, like give them electives. And we do have electives here where you could say, oh, okay, I want to do that. But from what I know of my childhood and my electives, like, I was very into music. So I took music. So, and you know what? I'm going to take that back, because when our music class we had a studio, we were taught how to make beats, we were taught how to do all these things. I mean, I think I made my first mixtape in the school during class, but music was my elective, and I think they did a pretty good job. But like, teach a kid how to change a tire. Like, there's kids that don't. If you teach them driver's ed, or put them in driver's ed, you teach them to go get their car. Well, what happens if the tire flattens? Well, in school in 9th grade, I took a whole class that entire year on how to change a car and how to change my oil and how to drain my transmission fluid, and like, trades, teach them how to weld. Oh man, I need to put this piece of steel onto this piece of steel here. How can I do it? Well, in 10th grade, I was taught how to weld. Teach them that, teach them something other than historical events that rarely come up in adult conversations. Teach them something that is actually going to be beneficial to them as an adult in a normal day-to-day adult life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think there's actually a point where I have to point out the German school system again, where they do somewhat specialize, right, between taking the academic route or the trades route. So there is actually like a little bit of that in the German system. The 2 problems with that are, A, you're deciding that when the kids are 10 years old, and B, it's usually...
Wait, what'd you say? You said it too fast. You said something about kids that are 10 years old?
Yeah,
I
so
didn't hear you.
in the German system, after you graduate elementary school, they put you in one of three schools, right? And it's basically academic, mixed, and trades.
Okay.
And so deciding that when a kid is 10 years old is maybe a bit early, but I think the general idea is not terrible. Now, the other issue, besides the fact that the kids are very young when the decision is made, is the association there. Because generally, I describe them as academic, mixed, and trades. But the way that they're seen by the public is as good, medium, bad. Because you're sorted primarily by academic aptitude. So, the people that go to the school that is specialized in teaching them more about the trades are seen as, the dumb kids, or, like, whatever. Like, the lazy kids sometimes, but, like,
yeah,
the
but
ones that are not
the end of the
academically well.
At the end of the day, those are the kids that are gonna make money. Over there, you guys may call them the dumb money. Well, guess what? If you taught that kid how to be a plumber, everybody has to go to the bathroom. So, I was taught in school on how to program solitaire. Yeah, but when you get done playing solitaire, you gotta go take a shit. And if it gets clogged up, guess what? I know how to do that. Does that necessarily make them the dumb kid because they're learning a smaller trade? You know what I mean? That's not cool.
Yeah, no, but that's kind of my point, right? Because that association kind of makes it so that those schools that are aimed at more at the trades are kind of looked down upon. And so if you have the academic skill not to go there, you basically don't put your kid there. And so that leads to two things. First of all, of course, that does to a degree become true, where just the less gifted kids end up at that school, which has all sorts of other problems, because that also means kids that have behavioral problems, for example, can sometimes end up there, which obviously then makes classes more disruptive, makes the learning less effective. And the other thing is just, again, that if a student were, like, moderately academically gifted, but was more interested in the trades, you would most likely not send your kid to that school because of the association, which is where the problem comes in, right? It's not that the system is bad.
You said if the kid was more interested into it, you would not send them there? You think you would?
That's what I was saying, right? Because they're seen as, like, a hierarchy of good and bad, you would send, if your kid is somewhat academically gifted, you would send them to one of the better schools, as in the more academic ones, because that is seen as a better thing. So the problem isn't necessarily just that the system is bad, but also that the associations with, the sort of the perspective that people have on that system is very flawed and leads to the system not being as effective as it could be.
And I'm going to go back to what you said about the parents. A lot of it does have to do with the parents, because you could have a very gifted child who's phenomenal at numbers, but for some reason they love making ceiling fans. Like, are we going to put you in a trade school to learn how to make ceiling fans, but where you're looked at as the dumber school, quote unquote, but you're so good at mathematics, like, we're going to put you in the more higher up school, which is looked at as a higher class, I guess you would say, over there. It's like, why are you so focused on, and the parent is looking at it like, listen, our kid makes straight A's when it comes to numbers, but god dang it, we've got 4 ceiling fans and they run great. But it's like, why not? If that's his passion and he's already good at the arithmetic and mathematics of it, he's already good at that. But if that's his passion, focus on his passion. If I don't have children, and if I had a kid and I saw this kid was infatuated with boxes, and he was like, man, I love taping boxes, I'm going to feed into whatever he likes. You know what I mean? Or he or she likes. If my daughter loves to do karate, and I'm like, I really wanted you to be, a ballerina, I'm not going to force her to be a ballerina. I'm going to find a way to, hey, maybe there's some karate classes you could take at school. If not, hell, I'll put you into karate, but there are karate classes after school. But there are some parents out there who's like, I don't want that for my child. But sometimes you have to look at the child and say, well, what does the child want? You know what I mean? It's like, that's how I look at it. Sometimes the parents they see themselves in their children, and they want their child to be they do want their children to be better than what they were and when they were younger, but at the same time don't take away from that child what that child enjoys doing and is also gifted at doing.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. My point was just that the German system, in theory, does actually have some accounting for like the specialization in like the trades. It's just that in practice it ends up not working that well because of like how society at large sees those. Another thing that I wanted to bring up, actually, in terms of changing the school system, is I think that the focus is sometimes wrong on the way we do testing. So this is not about subjects, like what you said, where like things we should learn or shouldn't learn, but
Yeah.
the fact that testing is like very directly correlated to what is seen as success kind of instills this idea that you shouldn't fail, where failure obviously is a very important part of learning. I mean, just it's
Absolutely.
not just latitude, but also like
Absolutely.
tests should be used to find out where a student's strengths and weaknesses are so that you can better teach them, rather
I agree.
than being used just as a tool for like
A litmus test to see if you're successful or failure.
Yeah, and in school, those are more just seen as like a sign of achievement. And again, right, better test scores are better, and obviously you need good test scores to go to better schools, and you need those to get good jobs, and like that whole system, I think, is flawed. Now, obviously,
I agree.
I can see how on some level it might matter how good you are, but I feel like especially in the earlier years,
Right, but it's a different day and age now.
how do you mean?
Like when you said back then, you could understand. Like, dude, remember the Scantrons? A's, B, number B, number C, number D. You know what I'm talking about?
I have no idea.
Y'all didn't have Scantrons over there?
No, I'm assuming you're talking about multiple choice testing in some capacity.
Yes, basically it's a multiple choice thing. It was like, okay, question number 1 right here. Is it A, B, C, or D? And then you would take your thing and it's called a Scantron. You would do A, B, C, or D. But you're right. I think that's flawed now. Like we're in a day and age now where it's like you could do it in such a more intuitive, interactive way now. You know what I mean? Like when it comes to a child just sitting there looking at a piece of paper and you're judging them on, hey, this person, this child or this student scored a failing grade. Like, okay, even though that's a failure, like you said, a failure is a big part of winning. So even though they got a 60 on the test versus someone else getting a 95 or 100, that person, all right, cool, the 9500, maybe let's put you in something a little bit more advanced versus the person who's got a 50 or 60 that's failing. Okay, this is what we need to do to fix you to get to that point. I just don't think it's being done.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at, right? Especially at the younger years, I think it's very important that we, instead of just like being like, oh yeah, this is like you always aim to get A's and like, you know, like everything is about that. You just do testing to, as you said, right? You assess where the students are at to like see how you can best help them. And then at the end of the year, you'll probably need to some sort of pass-fail testing to see if you can advance the students to the next year. Because obviously, if you start lagging behind and you get advanced, then at some point you lag more and more behind. But I don't think that like the full-on grading, like the A to D and F grading system, is really necessary for, like, honestly, most of your schooling. It makes sense at the very end. Like, you kind of need to show off, like, what you're good at to prospective employers, universities, whatever. So I can see that aspect, but I don't think that, like, you need to every single year have, like, letter grades, like, for every single subject. Instead, you could, right, as you said, right, if you perform poorly on a test, maybe put you in a class where they can help you catch up on it. And if you perform well on the test, maybe put you in a class where you can do better at that. And then that also can already lead into like a bit more specialization where like, hey, maybe if it turns out you're like bad at history, then maybe like once you've learned the basic history stuff that maybe everyone should know, you could just drop history and instead focus on math and science or vice versa.
Exactly.
And
prime example here. What was your favorite subject in school?
Probably computer science, maybe math.
Okay, you gave me 2. I just want one. What was your favorite?
Okay, computer science.
All right, so what was the one that you just could never get? Like the one that you were just like, I can't get it. Art?
Art, as in arts and crafts.
Oh wow, that you would think that kind of go hand in hand. So mine would probably be the same. You know, computer science. You know, Okay, mine would, okay, I'm gonna take that back. Mine would be music. So the one that I just really couldn't get, which obviously I can do basic math, but I hated math. So it's like, do you think that they should have said, "Hey, JJ, you're so good at computer science. Let's take your worst failing class, the class that you absolutely suck in, and let's focus more on that class for you. That way you can become better on it." Or, "Hey, you're doing so good in computer science. Let's just keep you going while you're just all the way down here on arts and crafts." Do you think do you think you should have been, or do you think children should be focused on a subject that they're not as good in to get up to where they are with the classes that they do enjoy?
I think you need to reach certain levels in certain subjects. Right? You need to be competent at writing in your native language, right? You need to be competent at basic mathematics. So there are certain things that you just need to be able to do. I think once you get past that point, I think there is value in just focusing on the things that you're good at, because we live in a society where specialization is like very much like seen as an important thing, right? A lot of jobs are like very specialized, right? So
Right.
I don't think it helps as much if you focus just or primarily on the weaker subjects, because then you'll create, jack of all trades, master of none. But that's not as useful in life as focusing more on the aspects you're already good at, especially if those are also ones that you're interested in. That's obviously always, as we said, right? Like sometimes the kid is good at one thing but interested in another. That's maybe a different situation. But I do think generally focusing on like a number of subjects that the student is good at is probably more useful than focusing on the bad ones past a certain point. I think you have to bring everyone up to a certain level, and past that, focus on the stuff they're good at rather than stuff that they're bad at.
I totally agree. I can't go against anything you just said. I totally agree 100% that that's how it should be done in Germany and in America. You just take what they're good at, what they're not good at, you get them to a level to where it's basically, hey, you can survive if you have to do this.
I have one question for you. This is a little off topic, but because it just came up. Okay, you said you also really like computer science class. You thought that I would have been good at art if I liked computer science, and you said you don't like math. So what the fuck did you guys do in computer science class?
I'm sorry, you said that like too fast. What'd you say?
What did you do in computer science class?
So our computer science class was like not necessarily coding, but more on the like troubleshooting things, like, again, you got to remember, JJ, I'm a little older than you. So like, hey, if everyone knows like how to run a command prompt on computer science, or hey, why does the motherboard do this, and what do you need for your CPU in order to run this? Like, just small things like that it was very basic, and this was actually only in middle school. In high school they didn't even have computer science, but it was very basic things on how to troubleshoot computers and computer programs, basically. I see. And I hated math.
No, because
what's yours like?
For us, computer science was more about programming, especially later on. And so there is a lot of logic and, again, right, programming, obviously. And we did some hardware stuff, but we did mostly, we did programming I think we did a lot of Java. We did making websites with HTML.
That was a little bit more artistic. We did a lot.
But we did, because I associate computer science.
We did do a Java.
Yeah, so I associate computer science a lot with logic, which is also the same underlying principle as with math, right? So for me, computer science is much more related to math than to art. So for me, it was weird when you said that you would you see parallel between computer science and art, and then when you said you don't like math, but you did like computer science, I was a bit confused.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went to school for computer science, but math to me it's boring, dude. Like, as long as I know the basics, I don't need to know why does pi equals 17 or pi 3.14, whatever it is, which I know it's 3.14 multiplied by this to get this exact geometrical shape. I've never used that. I don't need to use that, and I'm not planning on pursuing a career where I'm gonna have to use that. And I'm sure you can agree with that. Like, did you really need? When's the last time you used the Pythagorean theory? When's the last time you used it?
I mean,
be honest.
Most likely was in school.
And how long ago was this?
Well, I graduated in 2016, so at least 8 years.
Okay, so do you think it was something that was absolutely? How long do you think they taught you about the Pythagorean theory when you were in school? What do you think? 2 months, a month, a semester, 2 years? How long do you think?
I mean, just the theorem itself, maybe like a week or two, but we obviously did a lot of trigonometry, which does obviously build on that.
It goes with it 100%. Now, do you think you could have gotten more, not information, but do you think you could have got more learning, more training from something else over something that you've never used, or you said you haven't used since school? 2016, you haven't used it in 2016, and they took 2 weeks to learn. I can teach you how to build a house in 2 weeks. Well, you get where I'm going here? I can teach you how to build a house in 2 weeks versus something you haven't even used since high school. That's where I'm going here. Teach me something that's going to give me food, water, shelter at the end of the day. Teach me how to get water if I'm in the middle of the desert. Teach me how to hunt. Teach me how to, teach me things that are, if the grid goes down, how to, why am I learning about, all these angles in trigonometry or geometry? Why am I learning about all these things when I'm never going to use them? Like, teach me real life Teach me real life crap. That's how I look at it. Should I put 87 gas in my car? Do I put diesel in my car? How do I change a spark plug? You know what? I think the Pythagorean theory is going to help me learn or teach me how to change this spark plug. Man, if you said that to a mechanic, they'd be like, get so goddamn. They slapped the dog taste out your mouth, man. I'm just saying, there's more things you could teach a child that are non-beneficial. And you gave me a prime example as you being taught the Pythagorean theorem and never or haven't used it since school. There's something I could have taught you how to build a house in 2 weeks. I could have taught you a lot of things.
I will say, I have used other geometry. For example, what I have actually used a couple of times is calculating the area of a circle, for example, because that's actually a very useful skill when, get this, you're ordering pizza. Because you want to know, right, if the big pizza and the small pizza, like which one is actually cheaper, right? Because the area is different, right? Then there's a family pizza, which is rectangular. And so geometry is actually like somewhat useful in real life, occasionally.
You have literally used just make the pizza. I don't care if the pizza is perfectly...
ordering pizza from like a pizza place. Like, making it yourself is fine. Whatever. But like,
so what does that have to do with geometry?
Because the pizza places, at least around here, they usually have two sizes of pizza, right? Most of them give you the diameter of the pizza, of the round ones, and then they usually have a third option for a family pizza, which is a rectangular one. Which they also give you it's like 40 by 60, that sounds like a lot.
See, that's definitely a German thing.
Okay.
Here you got extra large, medium, small. Which one do you want?
Well, so usually here you'll have like a large and small, but most of the pizzerias do tell you what size that means. And so if you have like a 30 centimeter and a 26 centimeter, then you can calculate what the area is. You can look at the cost, and then you can look at the cost per square inch or whatever, and then decide.
Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Man, you know what? All right, this is going to be the end of this. Are you really calculating the freaking a pizza? Just get the pizza. Hey, how many people want pizza? Hey, Ron, you want a piece? All right, so hey, Ashley, you want some? Hey, Fred, you're not like, okay, this is going to be 44 per, and this is going to be you're not going to do that. Just get a large damn pizza. Just get a large pizza.
Well, as a college student, it's a very useful skill to be able to calculate how to best manage your money when ordering pizza.
Look, bro, if you in my dorm room and you over there pulling out freaking protractors to say, well, if this person wants this slice, I need a new.
Okay, I believe that was when we're hanging out at my place, and Alex and Sergey were there, and obviously all of them were down for that because we're that kind of people. Okay.
Again, we're two different people. You're German, I'm an American. We're just two different people.
I don't think it's at the end of the day.
I think. Can I be honest? I think it's a nerd thing, and it's okay because I'm a nerd.
Yeah,
I'm a nerd.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah,
I'm not that much of a nerd. Like it's like that's like me like if me having like okay, I got 5 people coming over to watch the fights, but before you guys come over I'm gonna order some wings, so I need to measure everyone's belly because your belly's gonna approximately hold about 6 wings. Your belly's approximately wait, are you gonna drink soda or water? Because that's gonna okay, all right, like dude, that to me I'm not even, those people aren't even gonna show up. They gonna be like, man, we ain't coming over there, man. This dude got my waist size to order wings.
That's of course I think. But okay, I guess it is probably time to move on to our next segment, which is the fact of the week, which brings up the question, what is your fact of the week?
All right, my fact of the week happens to be about dragonflies. You know much about dragonflies, JJ?
I don't know much about them. I mean, they're insects. They're kind of big, translucent wings.
They can get really big. Actually, during the Triassic era, does I say that properly? The Triassic era?
I mean,
they're really big. But, yes. Okay, so here's one that I found that I thought was pretty interesting. Dragonflies are expert flyers. They can fly straight up and down, hover like a helicopter, and even mid-air. If they can't fly, they'll starve because they only eat prey they catch while flying. I thought that was interesting. They can only if you cut off one of their wings and they can't fly, they're gonna starve to death because they only eat things while they're flying. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, and also never really considered. I mean, obviously you see them hovering around, but like when you think about it, it's actually kind of a difficult thing to do. I mean, there's a reason why.
Yeah.
Like a lot of flying, like gliding, sure, but like staying in place. But I mean, I've seen them do it. It's just you don't really think about it. And then going straight up and down is also like not the most intuitive thing because again, usually we associate flying with like, I mean, helicopters, yes, but they have like something very unnatural in like how they do it. But like if you think about like planes and birds, Superman, then it's it's usually there's always like a forward motion associated with it, right? So that's actually interesting to think about.
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool one. What's your fact of the week? What you got?
My fact of the week was sparked by a story I came across for like a interesting to know thing. And so there was a girl who asked her Amazon Echo device, Alexa, if you will, to buy her a dollhouse, to get her a dollhouse, which Alexa naturally obliged and bought the girl a dollhouse, which the parents were not very happy with. And so, as those stories had to go, it ended up on the local news, and the TV anchor then said, and I quote, "I love a little girl saying Alexa ordered me a dollhouse," which apparently was enough to obviously get a lot of Alexas in the audience to order a dollhouse.
Oh, wow.
That in and of itself is a very funny occurrence, but the thing that actually stood out to me in this article is that they mention, and this is from 2017, so I don't know if this is up to date, but that apparently the default setting in Alexa devices is to enable purchase with just a voice command. Obviously, I'm assuming you have to have a connected account that you can purchase with, but the fact that you can purchase things just with a voice account without any confirmation or anything is kind of wild. Wow. Right? And so...
kind of white?
Wild!
Oh, I thought you said kind of white. Okay, got you.
That's some white people shit, man. No, no, it's crazy, because that seems like a pretty big concern, right? Because anyone can access it, can activate it, even by accident, right? And it's like, that just shouldn't happen. So I guess, this is a public service announcement. If you have a smart home device, make sure that it can't buy things without, like, making sure that you actually want to do it.
Yeah, like, you could even slip up. Like if you're married and your wife's like, oh, man, like, we really need a new set of kitchen knives. And he's like, yeah, honey, maybe tomorrow I'll ask Alexa to buy us a new set of kitchen knives. Just in regular conversation, it just shows up. And it's like, that is a little wild if you think about it. Yeah.
Yeah, so that is my fact of the week, which then already brings us on to the next segment, which is our halftime show, Hurdle.
Hurdle. Love some Hurdle.
Do we need to do the 50s? I feel like neither
No. I almost wanted to start with like 70s. Crap. Let's do 60s. 60s up. Why not? I don't know, next. I'm not gonna. Oh, wait a minute.
I got nothing so far. What is about to start singing? So that might be useful.
Yeah. I feel like I have a guess, but I don't want to guess. Go hit one more. Let's see what
shoot. If you have a guess, then tell me.
I don't know who sings, but I got you, babe.
Oh, yeah.
I got you.
What? I got you, babe. Sonny and Cher. Got you, babe. What? I feel like I know a different version of that song by like a different artist, but Sonny and Cher. Okay, submit. That was not it.
Oh, okay. Let's.
What was I gonna say? Right. This is one of those bands that discovered that stereo mixing is a thing, and I don't like it. I feel like a lot of songs
era mixing,
stereo mixing. Like I feel like a lot of songs from the 60s and 70s will do a thing where like it starts off or like a certain instrument is just like on one audio channel, and like my left ear is enjoying the beginning of the song very much, but my right ear is not hearing shit. It's like,
yeah, that's the evolution of music. I have no idea, bro.
Well, this is the thing where I can use my top technique and just type in some words that the
just type in what you just heard. There you go.
See if it comes up. Our block does not come up, and it was on our block something. So I'm assuming that's not going to yield us a result. Let's just do the whole thing and see if we get anything.
I am lost, bro.
Yeah, I got nothing. It's Pretty Flamingo. I guess I should have typed in Flamingo. Fair enough. By Manfred Mann, which I would not have necessarily guessed from this, but okay.
Never even heard of him.
Manfred Mann and his Earth Band. They had a couple of songs. I can't think of any right off the top of my head, but yeah, no, that's definitely a name I've heard before. So, you wanted the 70s? Let's have the 70s.
No, nothing.
This had the weird thing where, like, for the first half of it, which is to say, like, the first second, I was like, okay, I think I might know this. And then I was like, and in the second half of it, and again, it's like a two second clip. It's like, I was like, never mind.
Yeah. Give me another one. Oh, I know this song. Do you know? Is this ringing a bell for you?
It seems vaguely familiar, but I can't place it right offhand.
Damn, maybe let's go to the next one. Let's see. I've definitely heard this before.
Well, if you don't have anything, then I think we're gonna skip
just
again
go
and
for
see.
it. Damn, that actually just threw me off more because I thought I knew it until the beat dropped.
Yeah, that happens sometimes when you're like, I think I know this, and then it's like, actually, now I feel less like I know it. It's like, I got. Let's do the whole thing and see if we get anything. I mean, I don't hate it, but I got no idea what it is.
I have no idea, dude.
It was Substitute by Clout. I believe that's the way around this works, where that's the artist, that's the... Doesn't ring a bell?
Never heard of it. But the beginning intro definitely sound familiar.
let's go to the 80s.
Let's do it.
Now that sounds familiar.
Ah.
Durner.
Durner. Yes. That's it. Durner. Wait. All right. So let's get this on the first try. Hold on. This is Durner. Ow. Doom. Durner. Come on, JJ. Who sings that? Durner. Ow. Durner. Oh crap. Hey, can just run that back one time?
Yeah, that's probably a good idea.
It didn't play.
Did it not for you?
No. God, we both know it. Let's do one more skip.
That's
because it's out. Burner. Yeah, I mean, if it, I want to say it. I want to. What's his name? It's a burner. Ow. Burner. Ow. Damn it! That's burner. God dang it! I know it. I'm saying it in my head. Skip it. Fuck it. Let's hear another one.
That's probably gonna help them out because we're already further in our heads than the actual things. That probably won't help much. But yeah, sometimes it does actually help hearing it in the original, though.
Damn, actually, I don't know if that is.
The thing is, we both thought it. We both thought it was, but this is also probably like a fairly generic effect of the time, so that's also another thing. It's one of those where like, it sure sounds like the 80s, but... Yeah, no, but I'm thinking it too.
God, what is that? Ow. Fuck, dude. When I see it, I'm gonna punch my microphone. Skip one more. Let's go, because we both know the song.
It was just about to go.
Yes.
Yeah, that is. Fuck. Now just to know what it is.
Look, can I call? Do I have a lifeline? Can I call a lifeline?
No. Let's not make it unnecessarily complicated. Let's.
Okay. It's Cameo. Ow. Just see what songs they got by Cameo.
Word Up, Single Life, Back and Forth. That would appear to be it. But I can do the
Hey, try Word Up. Word up, hold on. Wait. Word up, everybody say, when you hear that call, you gotta get it underway. Word up. No, is that not hitting you at all? Try Word Up, Cameo. Let's see.
I don't think that's even close in my mind, but that I might just be wrong about it as well. Like,
okay, I was wrong. Darn, God, it's Cameo. I know. I think it's Cameo. We both know the damn song.
That's the thing, right? And Cameo doesn't... I mean, Word Up is familiar to me, but Cameo didn't ring a bell immediately, so... Either this is one of those where I just happen to not know the title of artist offhand, or you're completely in the wrong ballpark. But the thing is, both of those are equally likely to be true.
Come on. Who is that? Is that Bruce Springsteen?
No. I don't think he went that strong with the effects. I want to say it's a.
We're going.
I want to say it's a woman singing, but it might also just be like a guy with a high voice. But I think it's a fairly high up voice singing that one. But I can't come up with any words or like much of the rhythm.
Yeah, me neither. It's like right after burn, then that's where my brain just like okay.
Like I don't know, like I think.
Do it again.
Like the thing is, like I'm not coming up with any words. Like it's like Aren't you thinking? Or is it like, I don't know. The thing is, I just said words there almost, but those were not the words, I think. But anyways, but like something like that, and it's like, fuck.
Yeah, we both. It's on the tip of our tongue. Skip it.
Yeah, I think we might have to.
Damn it, man. It's just gonna loop, so we're gonna sit here and continue to do this for the next 2 skips.
Yeah, the thing is, well, there's only one more skip, first of all, and I think it might go into vocals soon, but if it doesn't... Wait. No, wait. You drive me crazy. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. And
is that the title?
I can't help myself.
Is that the title?
And that's it.
You drive...
It's either you drive me crazy. Ooh. And,
long blonde
what about
hair. Ooh.
And I can't help. I can't help myself. Let's see what pops up there. I can't help myself. Nope.
Fuck! That's the worst part. Now we have the song and we still don't know what the title is.
Ooh, the long blonde hair. Ooh, golden feelings. I can't help myself. Fuck. We know the song, bro. This should be a win for us.
She drives... Oh, she drives me crazy.
Yeah, she drives me crazy.
That's one.
There you go. There we go. She drives me crazy. I knew, hey, teamwork makes the dream work.
That is... that's a name that I'm familiar with. Fine Young Cannibals,
Yes.
There we go.
I didn't know the name of the band, but I knew the song. I'm gonna need some more. I feel like this is rap, though. Nothing.
Honestly, like, the fanfares in the background kind of sound like they're not from the 2000s, but more like from the 1000s.
Well, I mean, it's obviously a sample.
Yeah, no, but I'm just like, it sounds kind of like the medieval fanfares when they're like, do 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 do, when someone is like showing up.
It sounds like mariachi kind of to me a little bit. Mariachi.
Yeah, no, I could see that too. I mean, it's both brass, so like.
Yes.
Yeah, no, they're getting more complex. But I was thinking like the sort of stereotypical like medieval announcement trumpets. Those are a lot simpler, of course. But yeah, I got nothing. Let's listen.
No clue. No idea.
I got those horns coming in, but
I'm waiting for a drop.
I believe that was the drop you were looking for.
So do we get one more skip or no?
We get one more, yeah.
Let's do one more real quick. Because I'm thinking this might be Khalees.
Whoops, I didn't click play.
What you gonna do with all that?
All that junk inside your trunk. That's it. What you gonna do with all that? I want to say Black Eyed Peas. All that junk.
Let's see.
Black Eyed Peas.
Pump It, My Hums, Hey Mama, Don't Lie, Meet Me Halfway, I Got a Feeling, Where's the Love, which it definitely isn't. Don't Funk With My Heart. I don't know if there are more.
I'm gonna say it might be My Hump. My Hump.
Yeah. What a terrible song.
Wait. It's either gonna be Black Eyed Peas, it's gonna be Khalees, or it's gonna be Fergie. What you gonna do with all that junk? All that junk inside your trunk?
I mean, Fergie and Black Eyed Peas is obviously a logical connection to make. Because, yeah.
Alright, type in all that junk.
Okay, let's
what
see.
you gonna do with all that junk?
Nah, nothing. All that Jay-Z.
All right, Ty, what you gonna do with dude, I'm gonna say my
Yeah.
lovely lady.
That's very possible. I mean, what a terrible, terrible song. Yeah, that's
Okay.
No wonder I didn't get that. Like, that song is atrocious.
It was a hit, though, bro. It was a hit.
Yeah, I can't fathom why, but yes, I know.
What is this, 2010s?
Yeah, that's the final one because 2020s have barely started. Well,
All right.
I said that last year, and this year it feels less relevant, but yeah, no, they're definitely not over yet.
All right. I do want to burn and we're gonna let it burn, burn, burn. And we're gonna let it burn, burn, burn. And we're gonna... I don't know the name of it.
I just had to run rather than burn. Burn Ellie Goulding? That sounds plausible.
Oh, it might be Burn Ellie Goldie. Try that one. And we're gonna let it burn.
Nope.
No? Alright. Skip it. Let's see. No, I was off. I don't know anymore.
Because I think the thing that you sang could have been Ellie Goulding. I'm not, like, that familiar with her work, but that sounded plausible. But,
Hey, she's got some dope songs, dude.
I mean, that's very possible. Again, I'm just not very familiar with her.
She's got some dope music.
I guess we're gonna skip again? Unless you have
let's skip
another idea.
No, let's skip. God, I know this. Skip it. Skip it. You down.
Well, that I could have told you as well.
I'm sorry that I'm sorry that I let you down or let you down.
Let you down by NF?
I
will never let you down by Rita Ora is also the other option.
That's it. That's it.
I will never let you down.
It's Rita Ora. It's Rita Ora. That's it.
That was not it.
Wow. Let's hear it. Oh, dude.
It's also like a very heavy filter on the voice.
Wait a minute. NF is a rapper. So it could be Let You Down by NF. I mean, and he just used that as a sample.
That would explain maybe why the voice is like so heavily distorted and edited. Because
so high pitched. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Because like I think it's a slight inhale that you can sometimes hear where it just sounds like incredibly distorted. Like if you do it just on like the actual voice while singing, it's not actually that terrible. But like whenever there's like this little like, it's very noticeable that it like sounds really artificial. But yeah, no, that's the one.
That was a fun one.
I mean, we did remarkably well compared to how we usually do.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I think we got 3 out of. I think we were 3 for 3.
I think the first one we got, the 80s one. I'm still a little mad that it took us that long, but at least we got there.
Yes, we got it. It took us a minute, but dang it, we got it.
Yeah. Which I guess takes us to the, well, not the final segment, but the backup topic, but the second topic, whatever you call it, we're doing the cards again.
Icebreakers. Yes, we're going to do the icebreakers. It's called the icebreakers, and let's see here, JJ. Let's do 3 of these real quick. Okay, you ready for this one?
Yes. Hit me.
If you could... What? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said hit me. Like...
all right. If you could change... if you could change one thing about the way you were raised, what would you change?
Just add some millions and millions of dollars. No,
I have mine, actually.
One thing... That's tricky.
The question... some of these are very tricky. The question is, if you could change one thing about the way you were raised, what would you change?
Because I don't have any obvious complaints, right? That's, I mean, obviously, if you had a very unhappy childhood, I'm sure that this is like a very trivial one, but Although I
Yeah,
guess
of
then
course.
I guess then it also would be hard because then you'd have to pick one thing. But the thing is, I really can't think of any complaints. And the thing is, like, obviously, yeah, you could change things. I mean, I jokingly said the more money thing, right? We were never like poor or anything, but obviously more money is never bad. But like, that's not really about how I was raised. I'm just saying I want more money, right? Like that's
Yeah,
a
no,
cop-out
how
answer.
you were raised. Like the way your family raised you. What's something you wish you could change?
I don't know. I mean, the one thing that has stood out to me recently about how I was raised is that there's maybe a little bit more hypocrisy than I was aware of. I feel like sometimes these days I get annoyed by things that my parents do because I was raised better than to do them, right? By them! But that's really, it's kind of a minor thing. I mean, like, you know, I can't think of anything concrete that I would have changed. Which I guess is a very good thing, right? It speaks very highly of my parents and how they
God
raised me.
dang it, JJ. Just answer the damn question. If you could change one thing about the way you were raised, what would you change?
I don't know, man! That's what I'm saying! Like, you said you have an answer. Give me yours, and let's see if that rattles anything in my brain.
No, I am the guest on this show. You go first. I'm the guest on this show.
I'm in charge.
Okay. Okay. You're right. Fair. Well played there. I see what you did. So with me, I would change that that me and my family told each other we love each other more. We do it all the time now. Now that we're adults, everyone says, I love you, and they hang up the phone. All right, talk to you later. I love you, bye. Hey, all right, Behringer, I love you. Just want to call and say I love you, bye. But when I was younger, we never said I love you. We hung up the phone. All right, bye. All right, bye. We never said I love you. But that's one thing I wish we would have changed. When I was a kid, I would change that we would have said I love you more to one another in my family. What about you, JJ?
I mean, damn, that's a good one. That's really deep, and like, I'm trying to think of something like even like vaguely similar concept. It's like this one, like change it. It's really hard to me. I mean, I guess okay. I guess maybe if I.
Why is this so
It
hard
would be
for you?
good-
Did you have the perfect childhood or something?
I mean, probably not, but I mean, it's a combination of just like having had a pretty good childhood and not really. Like, probably not knowing what I've missed, right? I guess if my parents had got me a bit more to sports, it would have been good, maybe, because I'm definitely, like, I should be more physically active now. Like, my mom will sometimes say, like, oh, you should probably, like, go walk more often and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, but, like, telling me that now, I mean, she did, like, try to get me outside before, and, like, that also worked, but I feel like getting me into, like, an actual sport, right? Like, I don't know, soccer is a popular one, obviously, but, something that would have probably
That's
been...
a good one.
That would probably have like positive payoffs, like that I would be more physically active now. That like that have more reason to go out, like that sort of thing. I guess
that's a good one, JJ.
I wouldn't have wanted to do it at the time, which is probably why I was pushed into it. Right, I did Taekwondo for a while, but that's about it sports wise, and that kind of like petered out just like circumstantially. But yeah.
Okay. All right. You ready for the next one?
Yeah, sure.
If you could buy your dream house, what is one weird room or feature you would have?
Okay, this one I have thought about before.
What you got?
I always kind of liked the idea of... Okay, this is actually a bit of a multi-layer thing, but I kind of like the idea of having a library room. It's a little bit extra, but I do like to read. I mean, realistically, like, how many books do I need? But I do think it's a cool idea. And I always loved the idea of like, the door shelf that's a hidden door thing. So I always
and pop it open. That's awesome.
So in my mind, the sort of the like ideal like perfect fantasy home. I have like a big library, and then one of the shelves you have like a hidden switch where you can open it, and behind that is like a gaming room for like tabletop gaming,
yes,
that sort of stuff. And I wouldn't necessarily make a secret of it, right? It's not a secret room strictly speaking, but it's styled as one, because I would want the gaming room to have a window for like very practical reasons.
Yeah.
So like you can't really hide it, and also it's a gaming room, you're gonna invite people there. But just like the aesthetic of it, and again the library itself is also I think part of that. So yeah, that's.
So the question is if you could buy your dream house, what is one weird room or feature? Okay. I'm not gonna say a room, but a feature. If I guess you feature. Probably a sex dungeon. I'm joking. Um, no, honestly, I'm really into arsenal and firearms. So it'd probably be like I guess you would say a feature and a room because it would be like a firing range. To where I had I can shoot my guns at will. In my basement or something that has a soundproof firing range, basically, in my house. That's something I would want in my dream house. That's something.
There was this brief moment where I was a little confused because I was like, "You like soccer?" Because you said you like Arsenal, and I think that's a British soccer team.
I knew it.
But yeah.
I knew it. I actually saw an Instagram clip today that this family had a kid and they didn't know what they wanted to name the child, and the father was a big soccer fan, and the mother had no idea, and she was like, let's name her Lenarsa or Lenarsa, and she's like, oh, I love the name Lenarsa, and then 5 years later she's like, why'd you pick that name? He was like, oh yeah, it's Arsenal backwards. But yeah, it was awesome. Okay, final one here. Okay, if you could know when and how you were going to die, would you want to know?
Not if I can't change it. Well, I guess that's the question is what I can't change. It's useful information in as far as, if you know when and how you're gonna die, you can make life choices. Like, if you know you're gonna die soon,
and
you don't
avoid
need to do as much long-term planning. But if it's not avoidable, I don't know if I would want to know it. I mean, the question is always like, how much wiggle room do I have? Because even if I can't change it, knowing that I have a long life to live obviously means that I put more forethought into how I plan for it long
what
term.
You'll do.
Whereas if I know I'm gonna die in a year, I'm not gonna go out of my way to save up money or whatever. I'm just gonna blow it all because I might as well. So I guess in that sense it would still be useful. Although I think it would still be kind of rough if you had in the back of your head, especially as you get closer. It's like, ooh, right? It's like, it's gonna happen very soon. But I think as long as I can make use of the information in some way, I would probably.
So is that a yes or a no?
That's a yes.
You would want to know when and how you were going to die. Really? You would want to know that? Huh. I think that, okay, I thought about that too. And for a moment, I was going to say yes because I had the same logic you did. Is okay, if I got 25 years to live, then I know, hey, I'm going to work my ass off for the next 20 and party for the last 5. But if I knew, hey, I'm going to die in this tragic car accident that's going to happen, it could happen anytime. I'm just never going to drive again. But then again, that'll drive me crazy. So ultimately, I don't think it's our purpose to know when and how. And I know the question is if you could. So I'm going to say no. I would not want to know and just let life be and let it happen as it is. I don't want to play with things that aren't meant for humans to kind of intervene on, if you get where I'm going there.
I think if it's like you alluded to, it's just how, but not when, that's terrible. Because then it's that thing where you're going to die in a traffic accident and you're never drive a car again, you stay away from roads when it's possible, and all of a sudden, right, a car is going to smash through your house, because that happens occasionally. And
it does. Dude, that would suck. You buy your dream house with whatever feature you want, and you're in your freaking library room, but you just so happen to say, I'm okay with knowing when and how I'm going to die. And out of nowhere, in that gaming room that you had to open up that bookcase to get to, here comes a BMW just flew.
Again, right, if you know when, I think it's not as much of a problem to know how. But if you just know how, that's terrible.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, no, I think I would, if I know when, I think it's a more useful one, part of that. But yeah,
I agree.
And that, I think, does it for this segment, which brings us to our final segment, the Songs of the Week.
Yes, Songs of the Week.
What is yours, Song of the Week?
My Song of the Week is by an artist named Zero. He is from Houston, Texas. He is a member of the Screw It Up Clique, original member. Rest in peace to all the Screwed Up Clique members who passed. And he was a big Tupac fan. And Tupac actually said this Tupac actually had a song Blast Myself, and Zero enjoyed it so much better. Me personally, I think Zero's song is better, so it's Blast Yourself by Zero, or Blast Myself by Zero.
I wake up in the morning and I ask myself, should I blast myself? Before I go to sleep at night, I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? Look at myself in the mirror and I ask myself, is life worth living? Should I blast myself? I got problems, but too much pride for me to ask for help. So is life worth living? Should I blast myself?
Man, I got problems, but too much pride for me to ask for help. So is life worth living? Man, that's a fucking dope. That whole song, dude. He made a bar in there. He said, he went to prison for selling drugs, and he said, listen, I ain't trying to be a role model, but I am. What kind of role model get arrested for 300 grams? I struggle with my addiction. I ain't perfect. Realize that it's bringing me closer to my grave, so maybe it's worth it. The more codeine that I drink, the more I'm not awake. I'm like a prisoner, and syrup is the way I escape. Fucking bars, dude.
I mean, yeah.
He's a lyrical genius.
I mean, the lyrics are well written. It's obviously just like musically not my type of music, but you could definitely tell that there's like something behind that. I actually, as far as rap songs go, I think this is on the better side for me personally. I mean, obviously it's all very subjective. Probably not something I would like.
You don't like any music. You don't like anything, dude.
I don't like rap music, which just happens to be the music that you like a lot.
I mean, actually, yes, it is. I mean, I happen to be a rapper, but dude, there's songs out. I just don't think there'll be a song that I'll ever show you, or Smokey. Hell, that you will f with. I just don't think there is.
Smokey has a pretty decent taste in music.
I mean, I would say me and Smokey have the same taste in music. To be honest,
I think he's had a couple of ones that are definitely like closer to my taste than most of the stuff that you have.
Yeah, like Lemon Pound Cake. I'm not jamming Lemon Pound Cake. I know you enjoy that song, but I'm not jamming. Sorry, it's not my cup of tea.
That was actually not his song of the week. That was mine. But
I thought he introduced you to that song.
No, I think one of you had a different Afroman song, and I happened to like read about the situation with the police raid, and then
that was awesome.
Lemon Pound Cake is one of the songs that he made in response to that. So that is how I found that song. But yeah, it's a bit of
What's your song of the week, JJ?
Concept. My song of the week is Heroes by David Bowie.
Ooh.
Nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever and ever. Oh, we can be heroes
I know this song.
just for one day.
I know this. Yeah, that is a dope song. I know that song.
Yeah,
If we
I
can
think it's
be
fairly well known.
heroes. That is a good song, actually. Yeah, man, I'm a big David Bowie fan. You know, Ice Ice Baby, right?
Yes.
Ice Baby. So that was
It samples Under
performed by
Pressure from Queen and David Bowie, yes.
Yes. Now, did you know? So, first of all, did you know that's the first rap song to ever reach the Billboard #1? It was Ice Ice Baby.
I did
that's
not
the
know.
first rap song. Yes, that's the first rap song to ever become #1 on Billboard charts. Now, because he sampled Queen and David Bowie, they took him to court and said, hey, we're going to sue you because you didn't. This was when sampling music was new. So they took Vanilla Ice to court and they said, we're going to sue you. And they were like, we want X amount of dollars in this royalties. So Vanilla Ice actually thought of a brilliant idea and just says, okay, why don't I just buy the song from you? David Bowie, actually, I think David Bowie had more rights to the song than Queen, Freddie Mercury. So he settled out of court and bought the song Under Pressure, bought the song. So now every time Under Pressure gets paid, he gets a piece of, or he owns it now. So he gets 100% of the royalties. Every time Ice Ice Baby gets paid, he gets 100% of the royalties. That's freaking brilliant. He's like, instead of going to court for 6 weeks and paying $300,000 for this lawyer and $200,000 for that lawyer, why don't you just buy the song? He bought the song. Brilliant move. Brilliant move. Shout out Vanilla Ice on that.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be done in 6 weeks unless you settle. But, David Bowie, great artists. I mean, Queen too, but that's not really as much a point right now. But I think David Bowie is also the cool thing. He has a lot of very different songs, right? There are, like, I feel like I can only think of a handful of artists that have, like, a breadth of songs that are all good, right? Sometimes you have artists experimenting in other genres, and they're maybe not bad, but they're not as good as the other stuff. Or other artists where, like, every single song almost sounds kind of the same. Like, they're good, but they're all, like, very samey. But, like, David Bowie has a huge range.
David Bowie is... I love David Bowie, man. Ziggy Stardust, I F with a lot. Dude, we recently just did a song on our channel. So, you know, Ground Control's a Major Tom.
Yeah.
You know that song, obviously, right? So, I can't remember what band it was, but there was a band that did a sequel to that song by David Bowie. It's like what happened to him, you know, to Major Tom.
Major Tom by Peter Schilling.
Nah, it's if I look, God.
So
let me see if
the only song that I can think of besides the Bowie one that has Major Tom is Major Tom by Peter Schilling. That's the only one that I can think.
What's the name of the song? What's the name of the band you're saying?
The singer, his name is Peter Schilling. Well, Peter Schilling, I guess you would say, but
Peter Schilling. Yeah, that's him. That's him.
Yeah,
that was it. I didn't know that
he's German. The song is originally in German, but I believe there is also an English version.
Yeah, so we heard it and we're like, dude, this is the prequel of what happened in, you know, Ground Control or Space Odyssey.
Yeah, Space Oddity.
Yeah, Space Odyssey. Yes, great song, man. And the one by Peter Schilling was pretty good too.
Yeah, I love that song. I've known that one for a while. But I don't know if I've ever heard the English version of Major Tom, because again, it's I believe it's originally in German. The guy is, I want to say, German.
Yeah, it is. Trust me, I read all the comments. He's German.
You know, there's always this like small risk in the back of my mind. That's like there's probably about a 20% chance that he's Austrian, and you know, it's like because whenever someone is like German speaking, especially like musicians, like it's not like you could tell from how they sing usually that they're Austrian. Like if they were talking, you could probably tell, but and I don't know much about it. So.
That's so true. Me and Smokey say the same thing. Like if you listen to some of those like British invasion bands like Pink Floyd or, you know, the Zombies or the Beatles, it's like you listen to them and you're like, dude, they sound English, like, or they sound American.
Yeah.
But you can't tell their accent when they're singing, but when they're speaking, you can hear it. We always thought that was pretty
Bowie
fascinating.
Too, right?
Bowie too, yeah.
I think I've heard that apparently it's easier and more natural to sing in a more American accent. Like it has, so that's what I've heard. It has like something to do with how the pronunciation, because oftentimes musicians when they sing already like pronouncing sometimes a bit easier, like an easier to pronounce way than you normally would sometimes. Like plus they like enunciate vowels differently sometimes and whatnot. But and so apparently, from what I've heard, I don't know if that's true, but the American accent just lends itself more to that than the English one. So basically, if you're an English musician, you basically have to go out of your way to try to sound English. And there are some that do, but it's just
sound American.
Comes more natural to come to sound American.
Hey, USA, USA, USA.
So yeah, David Bowie, great artist, great song. This is one of those Bowie's. This is actually one song that I like a lot of Bowie songs, but this one, weirdly enough, took some time to grow on me, and it's arguably one of his better songs too. Which is why I don't know, but like when I first heard it, it just like didn't click with me. But it's
song,
really grown on me, and again, right, it's probably one of his better songs. And
great song.
Yeah, I guess that's all I have to say about this one.
Great song. Rest in peace, David Bowie. Shout out, Davey Boy. This was fun, man. This was a good one, JJ.
Yeah, and all that remains to be said is, if you enjoyed this video, if you too thought this was a good one, then leave a like. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you have something to say, leave a comment or join us Discord server. Link is in the description below. Hollywood?
That's it?
That's it.